Hello everyone and welcome to another Digimon Ghost Game review video. This time I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the latest episode of Ghost Game, which is episode 26, Cannibal Mansion. Now just a quick recap of this episode. So it starts off with us seeing the Mon of the Week, which is Diditamon, hanging out in this creepy old haunted looking house, and he's eating people. So what happens is that he eats people, kind of vomits up sand in their clothes, and then waits for the next person to move in and eats up them as well, and also vomits up sand and their clothes. Still kind of gruesome, but with that, like, that's that cartoon level violence that I guess we would expect from Ghost Games, so that's a thing. And then the next scene is us meeting Angoramon and his old digital world best friend, Diditamon. Now, this is a Digimon who Angoramon says that he used to live and study with and explore with in the digital world, and straight away I was like, I see what they're doing. They're going to have us be very suspicious of this Diditamon, but the Mon of the Week is a different Diditamon, and we're all going to be sitting there going, that's not the Diditamon we're thinking of, or something, and that's what I thought was going to happen. Spoiler alert, that's not what happened. This Diditamon, straight up evil. The show is not lying to you. Diditamon is the Mon of the Week, super evil, super suspicious, very much is interested in eating people. So that's cool and fun. So anyway, Diditamon wants to meet all of Angoramon's human friends because he's very excited to learn that Angoramon has human friends. I wonder why. So they all promise to hang out with Angoramon at this creepy house with Diditamon. So Ruri turns up early and Angoramon is completely distracted by books and says, I'm going to hang out with these antique books. Diditamon, you can take Ruri to the attic and show her some creepy things that you found that you really want to show her and not eat her. So then they go upstairs to the attic and surprise, surprise, Diditamon is eating people. We see sand and he explains that he used to be just hanging out with people as a hologram ghost. And as soon as he started to materialize, he got very hungry, and then he ate a person, then he realized he liked it, and then continued to eat people because he just liked it so dang much. So Ruri's like, I don't really want to get eaten, so she doesn't get eaten. Then Hiro and Kiyoshiro show up, and they all try to fight Diditamon with their adult level Digimon. However, they're not doing much of a scratch at all on Diditamon. He's got a very, thick, hard shell exterior going on, so all of their attacks kind of just clank off, and no damage is done. He still wants to eat them, and WezenGammamon takes personal offense to this for some reason, and evolves to Cannon Weissmon. He's able to weaken Diditamon and is about to issue the final blow where Simbara Angoramon jumps in the way and tries to question and reason with Diditamon because he's seen Hiro do it and he wants to give that a go. So he starts to say, hey Diditamon, you shouldn't want to eat people. And Diditamon's like, no, pretty sure really want to eat people. So Diditamon's about to do his Nightmare Syndrome attack and Simbara Angoramon issues the final blow, which shatters Diditamon's shell and basically kills him, which I was kind of shocked to see. I honestly expected another case of the dangaroni. I thought I could eat people. I thought that was cool and fun. I thought that humans wanted to be eaten. My bad, that's not what they wanted to do at all. I'm sorry. So I expected that, but what I got was, no, Diditamon was very much happy with what he was doing. Even though he started to sort of do it without knowing what he was doing and what was happening, he then realized that, no, I know what I'm doing, fully aware of what's happening. I thought that maybe they would not die and I just ate their souls, but it turned out they did die, but they taste good, so I don't care. So that's how that went. And we have Ruri doing the wrap-up outro poem instead of Angoramon, because Angoramon's busy because he just murdered his best friend. So there's a lot to unpack there. So first of all, the animation was pretty great, and I found that this episode doesn't have what I call the Ghost Game problem, where the first part is really good and then they kind of have to do a quick battle in the last few minutes and it kind of falls to pieces there. I found that this episode used the time that the episode had, the whole runtime, perfectly. It did not feel like it was speeding up at any points, it didn't feel like it was slow at any points, it didn't feel like it was spending too much time on the introduction and investigation to the episode. because the problem, the Mon of the Week, kind of just revealed himself straight away. So they got into the actual core of the episode incredibly quickly. It didn't have that Ghost Game problem of, oh no, we spent 15 minutes doing the introduction and now we only have this tiny, tiny chunk to wrap it up. Let's do a quick, hey, killing people, naughty, naughty, and then just run the credits. No, this episode was perfectly paced, but that is because it didn't really have that investigation part, which is usually my favourite part of the episode. But it was still a good episode without that investigation portion. It was kind of like, oh, Kiyoshiro just remembered that there was a haunted house where people were going missing, and that was the investigation part. He just kind of called that out when he realised where they were going. So that's cool and fun. And yeah, so I liked the episode, and I found that it had great pacing, and I honestly found that it kept on getting better. I wasn't too sold in the start of the episode. I was like, okay, it's your bog standard Ghost Game Mon of the Week. Digimon shows up, the kids somehow are involved in the Mon of the Week, and then we defeat the Mon of the Week, or we convince the Mon of the Week not to do evil things. But in this time, it was just a straight up murder of, well, I guess, self-defense murder. So the end of the episode has us obviously killing Diditamon, which feels a lot more than any of the other battles that we've had. Usually they just beat them into submission, or they flee, or they just change their mind and decide not to do an evil thing. It's not really that often straight up like, oh, I died. It's usually like, fine, I lost, whatever, I'm good now, or what have you. This one was like a straight up death. And usually when that happens, we have WezenGammamon coming along. So this was the first, I guess, death that wasn't by a Gammamon evolution. Usually they are Gammamons. And honestly, I thought that my lowlight was going to be, oh look, they're giving Canon Weissmon the win. I guess that makes sense. I thought this was going to be a Ruri/Angoramon episode, and then, oh, here we go, Canon Weissmon has the win. But honestly, he just sort of evolved, and if he hadn't, I would have questioned why he didn't evolve. So they did fine in that regard, completely fine. We also learned that, I guess, presumably, all of Gammamon's adult forms can evolve into the perfect forms of Canon Weissmon. So we have WezenGammamon evolving to Canon Weissmon for the first time, and it's nice that we got like a custom evolution for that. We don't just have them glow and then just become Canon Weissmon. We actually saw WezenGammamon in that evolution scene. So while at first I was kind of a little bit sad that we got a Canon Weissmon, now looking back I'm glad that we did. And yeah, it would have been weird if we didn't get an evolution here. It'd be like, okay, why didn't we just evolve? Because Digimon has had that problem in some episodes and some seasons where we're not evolving because we have to let somebody else have an evolution, or we're not evolving because we have to lose this time. So this episode, at least they evolved to their highest form, but Simbara Angoramon didn't want Canon Weissmon to do the final shot, and he himself did the final shot itself. So that's pretty cool. It's also nice to see that this episode wasn't actually a Ruri episode at all. It was actually an Angoramon episode, which is always nice. It's nice that they're developing the Digimon as characters instead of just the humans as characters. And that has been an issue that a lot of seasons of Digimon have had, where the humans have personalities, the humans have characters, and the Digimon are usually just very basic versions of their human partners' characters, or they'll have like one characteristic, like Agumon is hungry, Patamon is a baby, Tailmon is mature. That kind of like, you know, they've got like the one character thing. We had Angoramon actually like, he likes old antique books that are rare. He studied and lived with Diditamon in the digital world. And it's nice that we actually got something from that character. And it's not something I was expecting either. It also means that, while I'm also very glad this wasn't an evolution episode for Simbara and Angoramon, because I want them to work on that a little bit more, it means that when we do have that evolution, because we had this episode, we have a development of not just Ruri and Angoramon's relationship, and not just Ruri as a character, but also Angoramon as a character as well. So I guess that's how these evolutions work in Ghost Game. We have like the human character episode, and then we have the Digimon character episode, and then we have the Digimon and the human character and their friendship. And that's kind of nice to see. We're not just rushing into, oh, time to evolve, which I felt that Adventure Colon did do that quite a bit, where they would have all of their growth and all of their character limited to that episode where it was relevant, and sometimes even the next episode they didn't have it, and the previous one they didn't have it, so they just only had it for the purpose of that episode. And it's likely to see that we have Ghost Game not doing that. We have more of a build-up to those character moments, and we have more character moments in between those specific episodes. So yeah, I really like this episode, and I'm liking it more and more the more I talk about it, actually. I think that I was not so thrilled at the start, as I mentioned, but the episode grew on me, and it continued to give that cartoon-level violence that we expect from Ghost Game, as well as the, here is basic horror story, it's a haunted mansion, people are going missing, oh my gosh! And then we have the Digimon spin of, but there's Digimon. Which is what I really like about Ghost Game. I love that they're doing, like, the generic horror script, but with Digimon, and it makes it really good. It's a nice little charm that this has. So I'm a big fan of this episode, actually. When I first saw it, I was like, this episode is, yeah, it's okay, I guess. It's still a good episode, but the more I think about it, the more I love it. I love this episode. You gotta know if it's a good episode because you come into your review thinking, hey, I like this episode, and then you end up liking it more the more you talk about it. So, yay, this was a good episode. I'm glad that, like, I didn't feel like the limelight was, like, hogged by any other Digimon. It felt like it was very much Angoramon in this episode. But we didn't just completely push the other characters to the side, and we didn't just say, oh, they can't evolve because they're not there. And that's what I was worried about. Also, when we have Hiro and Kyoshiro not showing up, I was like, oh, okay, they're just doing the whole, well, they would all win against Diditamon, and they would have with Canon Weissmon, but Simbara and Angoramon didn't let them. That's much better than just, oh, they just didn't show up. Meh. And yeah, so those are my thoughts on episode 26. Big fan of this episode, bigger fan than I was when I first started recording this video, apparently. So in any case, if you'd like to hear more thoughts, of course, we have the podcast coming out in just over 24 hours time, so that's cool. You get to hear Quinn and Chloe's thoughts as well as my own, so stay hyped for that. I'm about to record myself for that podcast, so it'll be also available on Patreon if you're a Patreon subscriber giving $10 or more a month. So if you'd like the raw version of that, you can check out the Patreon and check out what else we can give you. So that'd be cool and fun. But in any case, thanks for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on this episode, and maybe I'm just crazy loving this episode so much, but I'm in love with this episode, like, more and more. The more I think about it, I'm like, so I should wrap up before I just give this episode a 6 out of 5 or something amazing. And anyway, so I love this episode. Let me know your thoughts about this episode in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, of course, if you haven't already, because you never know how many more Digimon episodes I can review, and maybe I'll love them even more too. So I have released a lot of Digimon videos in my time, so you can check those out and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, I will see you on the next one. Bye!